David moves from God's power to his provision for the land. The psalm descends from the cosmic to the agricultural, from the farthest ends of the earth to the furrows of a ploughed field. The same God who girds himself with power also visits the soil and waters it. Thou visitest the earth and waterest it. Thou greatly enrichest it with the river of God, which is full of water. Thou preparest them corn when thou hast so provided for it. Psalm 65, verse 9. The word visitest carries weight. God does not observe the earth from a distance. He comes to it with intention and care. The visit produces water, and the water produces grain. David names this water source the river of God, a phrase that points beyond any earthly river to the divine supply that sustains all life on earth. The river of God is full. It does not run low. The harvest stems from divine providence, preceding human effort. Thou waterest the ridges thereof abundantly. Thou settlest the furrows thereof. Thou makest it soft with showers. Thou blessest the springing thereof. Psalm 65, verse 10. David moves into the field itself. God waters the ridges, the elevated rows of ploughed earth where seed sits exposed. He settles the furrows, pressing the soil down and preparing the seed bed. The showers soften the hardened ground, making it receptive. Then God blesses the springing, the first green shoots breaking through the surface. No amount of human agricultural skill produces a harvest without God's blessing. Thou crownest the year with thy goodness, and thy paths drop fatness. Psalm 65, verse 11. The agricultural year moves in a circle, and God crowns it. God's goodness sits at the top of the entire year, completing every season from planting through harvest. David then describes God's paths, dropping fatness, an image of abundance falling from wherever God walks. The paths are not roads, but the tracks of God's movement through creation. Wherever he passes, fertility follows. The land does not produce because of favorable conditions. It produces because God walks through it. They drop upon the pastures of the wilderness, and the little hills rejoice on every side. Psalm 65, verse 12. The fatness that drops from God's paths reaches even the wilderness pastures and uncultivated ground that no farmer tends. God's provision does not stop at the edge of cultivated land. The little hills rejoice on every side. Creation responds to God's provision with something that functions like joy. The hills are clothed with flocks and the valleys covered with grain, and the entire landscape takes part in the abundance God pours out. The pastures are clothed with flocks. The valleys also are covered over with corn. They shout for joy. They also sing. Psalm 65, verse 13. David closes the psalm with sound. The pastures and valleys are not silent under God's blessing. They shout for joy and sing. The flocks on the hills and the grain in the valleys become a choir. Creation praises God not with words, but with abundance, with the visible evidence of God's visitation. David began the psalm with praise waiting in Zion, with human voices prepared to worship. He ends with creation itself, joining the chorus, the whole earth declaring through its fruitfulness what the congregation declares through its vows.